Fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. And my name is Judson Powell. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get right into it. Last night, I had a conversation with one of my favorite people, my wife. So she was telling me about, she was like, I watch your videos. She's like, I watch your videos all the time. I was like, really, you do? And she was like, yeah, because, usually like when you do something, your family don't really, until you make unless you like making a lot of money or something like that, your family like really ignores you. And believe me, all my years in radio and television, I know this to be true. Okay, I don't have any research on it, but all I know is that a lot of famous people, they always talk about like their family like ignores them. Like when they come downstairs, like your kids ignore you. They be like, yeah, daddy makes, and all they want to do is get enough money to go to the mall or whatever. I guess they don't go to the mall anymore. Everybody enough money to shop on Amazon online, right? Anyway, that's why. So she tells me, she's like, she really laid into me last night. I was like, wow, where are you? She's like, she's like, you're a Kemetic priest. You are, she's like, so much about African spirituality. And she's like, why don't you put more of that in your videos? And I was like, because people don't get it or they don't want to get it. Because I stopped arguing with people about Jesus like a long time ago. There's too much proof, too much evidence that Jesus never existed. And then people want to argue with you about Jesus or quote you Bible scriptures from a Bible that was plagiarized from our culture. So the Bible, just like, okay, the Bible is completely plagiarized from African spirituality. And not just saying, everybody, oh, you love Kemet so much. No, I'm not saying even Kemet. Kemet, Kush. Do you realize that there have been artifacts found all over the world, including under the ocean, right, of African spirituality? And it all depicts pretty much the same thing. So why in the world would you believe, it's like, so you think these people just so they put stuff in Australia, they put stuff in Central and South America, they put stuff in North America, they put stuff, all over the world, Africa, and all over Africa. Kemet is not the only place that there are spiritual structures and like temples and also statues and all that kind of stuff. That's not the only place. It's just the most famous. And then why, if it doesn't matter, why do they have in European universities, European-oriented universities, Caucasian-oriented universities, and colleges and all this kind of stuff? Why do they have all of these courses about Egyptology and all of this stuff, African spirituality? They know this stuff. White folks know it. Y'all don't. I'm going to be honest with you. White folks know this stuff and y'all don't know it, and I guess it kind of upsets me. And I don't like arguing with people because it's a waste of time. The truth is the truth. Like there are pyramids all over the world. Not just in Kemet. There are pyramids all over the world. Step pyramids, regular pyramids all over the world. And also, the fact of the matter is pyramids have power. They have power in them. So it is proven. This is all proven stuff. The same thing with things like chakra energy. Like chakra energy can be proven. It can be proven. It's very easy to prove chakra energy. You can prove it. All right. But people, they still try to tell you, oh, this stuff is evil or is this, that, And so I was thinking about it. I was riding out and I thought about cowboys and Indians because I say, well, how could I kind of break this down and explain it a little bit better? Well, it's sort of like the way they changed the paradigm with cowboys and Indians. Okay. When Hollywood came around, all right, one of the first genres of movies was Westerns. Okay, they had their romance, movies and all that kind of stuff, boy meets girl, blah, da, 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 right? But the one of the biggest genres of movies was Westerns, but Westerns were propaganda. And what was the propaganda that Westerns were trying to lay out? The fact that they changed Native Americans into savages. And they also used it in order to solidify the fact that they stole all of this land. All right. So you get because the common theme of most Western movies was what? You go in, somebody's stealing the land from somebody else, jumping a claim on somebody else, stealing whatever from the Indians, right? And so, or they kill off a whole bunch of Indians, right? And they kill all these Indians off, and it's like, wow, we're killing them all because they're savages, and they got to go because they're disturbing us. But the real story is that you came from Europe and disturbed them. And not only that, but they taught you how to farm the land. They taught you how to work the land and everything else. If it was not for them, you would have no claim. You would have nothing. So I guess that's like one of the problems. So when I start talking about all this stuff about the media and just even when we're talking about anti-Semitism, it's like the anti-Semitism that's taking place. The anti-Semitism that's taking place is because of the fact that you have changed the paradigm, and you have changed it to the fact that you're trying to make everything that they did honest. It's like the statues that are coming down. The statues that are coming down during all the so-called rioting and everything that's going on. The reason why it is the way it is because you lied. So you put all your generals up on their horses, on statues and everything. And so what happens? Every day we walk by and we see these statues. Every day we walk by, we see statues of Confederate generals. We see statues of all these different people, right? And they're called heroes. Even the first presidents, they were slave owners. They were rapists. But nobody put a plaque underneath George Washington's picture that says slave owner and rapist and murderers too. Nobody put that up there. So now when we try to give the truth or change the paradigm back, it's like all of a sudden now we're bad people. Or when we mention all of these different things, because this is all systemic. The same thing goes down when it comes down to language and all that. So when I was doing posts about the CODIS and scriptus, just like how they created languages from our languages. So they took from our languages, but then they changed them around. And why did they change them? They changed them so that they could gain power and control. And the same thing is true with religion and everything. That's why we fight against religion and all that kind of stuff. Black folks been running around talking about Jesus for 400 years. And what has Jesus really done for you? I mean, really be honest with yourself. Don't be emotional and don't be all this philosophical stuff. But even in the CODIS and scriptures, God and all of that is not the same thing. So I'm going to break this down right now. Netters versus God. All right. Our spiritual system talks about our nature, netter, N-E-T-E-R, netters. Okay. All of those things where they try to say that we are atheists, that we don't believe in God. Well, the terminology God is not about somebody in the sky or anything like that. The terminology of God in the CODIS and scriptures has laid out by Greek and Roman philosophy is basically to break down the fact of that you are God. Okay? Generator, operator, destroyer. Generator, operator, destroyer, or government of defense. It's an acronym. It's not. It has nothing to do with your spirituality. What does have to do with your spirituality is your nature. So all the times when everybody keeps saying, well, why do we always forgive? Like when white folks do something to us, why do we always forgive them? Because it's part of your netter. It's part of your nature. See, your nature is a forgiving nature. And the things, the evil and the diabolical and despicable things that we do and that we've learned how to do, pedophilia, homosexuality, all of these things come from being changed, taking your netters and changing them. Because if you read through any African spirituality, those things were not in the netters. And all of those deities that they claim that are deities or gods, well, y'all are polytheistic. Y'all believe in multiple gods. No, we believe in one God. The one God is me or you, and I just have a lot of aspects to my nature. So, so even when Michael Jackson made the song Human Nature, why? It's human nature. It's the nature of the human nature. And once again, hue meaning color, man, colored man. Ain't got nothing to do with and so when white folks do crazy stuff and all this kind of stuff, you got to understand that that's not their nature, because they're not the hue. They're man. I'm not saying they're not men or whatever, but they're not human. They're not the children of Ra. They're not the children of the sun. So our nature, just by our very existence, is different from everybody else. And also, that's another reason why we have been enslaved. That's why we've been taken advantage of and everything like that, because it's in our nature. Just like when the white man came to America, when the white man came to the Americas, the natives, the indigenous people, tried to help them. They taught them how to farm. They taught them how to get water. They taught them, like I said, how to work the land and do all those kind of things, because what? It's in their nature. They saw another man. They looked. See, the thing about knowing yourself as God is that when you look at somebody else, you also see them as God. Generator, operator, destroyer. And it just so happened that in the white man's nature, his nature was more of what? Destruction. So he had no feeling. He had no netter. It wasn't in his nature to have feelings for you. And it's still not. That's why racism still exists. And that's why it's so easy for them to be racist. You got, this stuff is spiritual. It's at a spiritual level that's so high. And then, not to mention, then they realize that, wow, their spirituality works. So let's steal it. Let's steal it. Let's copy it. And then let's use it against everybody else. And that's what happened. And one reason that's one reason that we can't overcome a lot of things is because certain things are just part of our DNA. It's a part of our spiritual DNA. And you have to realize that. And then you have to deal with things on the level where your spiritual DNA is at. So we can't win when we don't use our ancestors and our elders' knowledge, which white folks are using. What do you think? I remember one time I was talking to a friend of mine, and this was like before I was like really completely like 100% like studying this stuff and woke and this, that, and that. And I was talking about the Masonic, because the Masonic, what is that? Those are the master builders. All right. They took all of the knowledge of the Masonic. They took all of the knowledge of the Moors. They took all of the knowledge that we had. And that's how they built this country. That's how they built the New World Order. That's how they built all of this stuff. It's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, right? It's not new. It's just that they took it and they used it against you. And you forgot who you were. That's what look, you were buried in a shallow grave by some ruffians. And people that know what I'm talking about, they know what I'm saying. But you were buried in a shallow grave by some ruffians. But you are the original master builders. You are the original people. You are the people, the children of the sun. Amun-Ra, the Most High. And Amun-Ra, he gives you free will, or she gives you free will. I'm going to leave that alone today. Anyway, fast 15 minutes is up. I love you. I love you. I really do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Be out.